We often see the messes that influencers get themselves into, but we rarely see the steps it took for them to rise to fame. More importantly, we rarely hear from their friends and family about how insufferable their household influencer becomes once getting some clout. This video is based on some anonymous accounts posted to Reddit about what it's like knowing an influencer in real life. I'm going to tell you all about the dark secrets of influencers in just a moment, but first, if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Coming number 10, dating an influencer. Dating an influencer can be difficult because they've essentially transformed their personal life into a means of making money. So most things they do in life have to be captured and posted for their fans to enjoy and to bring in sponsorship deals. One user on Reddit told a story about what it was like to date an influencer and said, "I dated one, not super popular, but followers in the 100K range last time he spoke. I remember a lot of getting ignored and only receiving nice gifts or acts of kindness when they could post about it. Asking me to go to nice places they didn't drive, only to leave me on a bench somewhere while they took pictures. Huge strain on the relationship, especially when they started to get bigger and there was more demand for content." Coming number 9, friends with influencers. Just because you're friends with an influencer doesn't mean that you always want to be as active online as they are. Sadly, these lines can become blurred because more often than not, an influencer feels like they're doing their friends a favor by posting about them. Another Reddit user speaks about being friends with an influencer and says, "It's annoying AF. One of my buddies is constantly filming everything we do and posting it. It's to the point where people walk up to me on the street and ask me about him because they've seen me in his posts. I have no idea who they are. It dominates everything he does and has severely impacted his personal relationships. He can't keep a girlfriend and it's clearly related to this obsession of his. He does occasionally get some cool stuff out of it though. After pretty much kicking him out of my life because I do not want to be continually posted online, we've come to the understanding that when he's about to take a pic or video, he hands me the phone so I'm not in the shot. Works okay for me." Well, as long as they've come to an understanding that they can stick with, then I guess they should be fine. Coming number 8, living on their phone. Due to the nature of being an influencer, they often spend way too much time on their phones, both posting and consuming content to keep up with whatever their perceived competition is doing. This can become extra frustrating though when you need this person to just be present. A user on Reddit recounted their experience of being friends with an athlete influencer and said, "Friends with a high-profile athlete who is pretty popular on Insta. He is always on the phone, never lives in the moment. If we are doing anything fun, well, it basically didn't happen unless the world knows about it. It's just annoying. I can't imagine living for the approval or satisfaction of others." With another adding on to this and saying, "I was with a guy at Coachella and he has a pretty good following on IG. He posted something while we were watching a concert and could not look away from his phone. I asked him when he'd eventually put his phone away and he said he would when he got over 1,000 likes. I couldn't believe it." I cannot believe that either. You're basically saying, "Hold up, let me get the drug fix real quick and then I'll get back to this concert I paid for." Coming in number 7, wannabe influencer. Believe it or not, but this next story is not as uncommon as you would think. Sometimes when people are not getting enough engagement on their posts, they will go as far as creating extra accounts to make it appear like their post is getting higher traffic. A user on Reddit recounts their experience dealing with this and said, "I know a wannabe influencer. She will reply to her own post from her husband's account praising herself. Then she will reply to those posts as herself thanking him. It's hilarious. Like Inception for Facebook." Absolutely insane behavior, and at the very least I hope her husband is aware that she is using his account to do this. Another wannabe influencer though on this thread apparently got a big dose of reality from their own mother. This other Reddit user writes, "My cousin is a wannabe influencer. She kept denying family photos at a birthday party, so her mom told her to just not be in pictures anymore. Idiot got a reality check." Oof, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Coming number 6, consumed by filters. What can really be harmful for an influencer's mental health is the use of filters or Photoshop, especially if the doctored image is the one that ends up getting the most likes. Things usually don't start with this, but they can sometimes progress this way. A user on Reddit was trying to be supportive of their influencer friend, but just couldn't find the energy anymore. They go on to say, "In the beginning they started because they got offers from brands because they were so popular on Instagram and it was a lot of fun for them. Now they don't ever post pictures or videos without a filter. Rarely ever like a picture on the first try, and don't you dare post any pictures of them without getting their approval for it. Imagine trying to get a group picture with all of your friends for your birthday, but having you take almost 100 shots to get one that your influencer friend is happy with. Also, in the beginning I would like and comment on all of their posts, but now that's not enough. They expect me to message it to others, share it on my stories and my page. I hate posting stuff to my page, but I do it anyways to be supportive. It is so tiring. They do get free things sometimes though that they sometimes share with me. Not worth it in my opinion. Yeah, probably not worth it." In at number 5, misguided jealousy. If you're the type of person that already is a teeny bit narcissistic, then gaining followers is not really gonna suddenly give you empathy. What it actually does is inflate the ego even further, and then suddenly you become convinced that everyone around you must be jealous of your success. A user on Reddit spoke about what it was like to get left behind by their influencer friend and said, "To be honest, it's really shit. I feel like I've been completely forgotten about and like I don't matter anymore. I think that's just some weird misguided jealousy, but it still hurts because I miss talking to my friend." Coming number 4, changing the narrative. Sometimes regular life is too boring to post about online, so more often than not they will add some fantastical story to their caption to make their lives seem more interesting. This user talks about losing their best friend to Instagram and says, "One of my best friends fell real hard into Instagram and for a few years it was tolerable and understandable, albeit annoying and strange. Everything needed to be documented in specific ways. ways, so lots and lots of photos, even if it took away from the moment. But the strange part was how when she'd share things, the caption always told a slightly different story than what actually happened. Like just off enough for me and my other friends to say, huh, that has a weird quality to it. Fast forward a couple years and she gets engaged, boom, this was the catalyst for the worst of the influencer mentality to come out. I was in the bridal party and it was a nightmare. No gratitude, just demands. Demands for expensive trips and expensive parties and all kinds of things that were above and beyond the means of her closest friends. And all of the demands were because she had a following and had certain expectations to meet, which is just what happens when you fake your life online. Coming number 3, plan shopping. Plan shopping is when someone says yes to a whole bunch of engagements or events and then they simply choose which one will help boost their clout more. Then everyone else just gets ignored or forgotten. This happens so much, and this Reddit user spoke about their experience saying, she hasn't come to anything I've invited her to in 5 years because she only goes to events that further her business. Regularly she says things like we're all using each other for something. Sometimes she texts me the exact same thing word for word over a couple of days, and it's obvious she just copy pastes the same thing and sends it to all of us and then forgets who she has sent it to. She still reaches out to me multiple times a year and claims I'm one of her best friends, but it sure doesn't feel like it. I told her as much, but she just says this is my life now. My business comes first, and if you can't accept that, then I guess you're not a real friend. I'm thinking it's the other way around. Coming number 2, the influencer trap. When you begin to give up other endeavors and chase a life of being an influencer, you can often find yourself getting trapped. Similar to the server trap, the monetary benefits seem too great to give up, and most likely if they switch careers now, their bank accounts will take a hit. This user on Reddit explains how this happened to her cousin and says, my cousin is a moderately successful Instagram model and she absolutely hates it. She hates her fans, finds them all cringy and pathetic, hates the drama and how PC it all is. In real life, she's very conservative / traditional. Only does it because it's the only way she can make money. She dropped out of school and endorsing products and taking pictures of herself is the only way she knows how to pay rent. In real life, she's basically the complete opposite of the happy, bubbly, ditzy girl she plays online, and we often laugh over some of the messages she receives, including proposals and women angry that their sons / husbands are following her. I'm sure a ton of women get that. Last but certainly not least, our number 1 spot, be passionate. I thought I would end this list on a bit of a happier note because most of these stories are quite destitute. If you want to be an influencer and you don't want to burn out, the biggest secret is that you have to be passionate about what you do. You have to truly love it and not let the opinions of others or money for certain things pull you away from why you started it all. So to leave us off, here's one last positive story about an influencer's life behind the scenes. This Reddit user says, my sister is an influencer and honestly it hasn't changed her. Most people don't change if they're truly passionate for something. Most of the time they're just happier. For my sister it was makeup and now she's really happy. Those who change aren't doing something because it's what they want anymore, it's what the consumer wants. So just remember this, don't let anyone change who you are. And I couldn't agree more. But guys, that has been the top 10 influencer dark secrets exposed, and before we get out of here, I'm gonna check out some of your comments from the video titled Lizzo Gets Upset, Johnny Depp Breaks Silence, and Dr. Dre's Daughter Homeless. Michelle Horton says, I think Johnny Depp is the strongest person. Most people would have given up and retired out of the limelight. Lizzo is beautiful and oh my god, she has a voice. Nobody should body shame. Yeah, nobody should be body shaming Lizzo. I mean, she's a musician. Judge her by her art, not by how she lives her personal life. Lisa K says, praying for Johnny's biggest comeback soon. He's a great actor in person. Justice always prevails. I have some news coming about Johnny Depp and his case in the US, so yeah, he's getting a big win very soon. Angel Eye says, I wish Johnny Depp all the best in the world. He deserves it. He certainly does. He has been put through quite the ringer over the last few years. Arinka says, I will get hate for this, but when you're an adult, your parents should not be financially responsible for you. I mean, it's nice if they help, but yeah, you're kind of right. Lilo the Stitch says, Lizzo deserves so much better. Couldn't agree more. She definitely does. That was awful what she had to go through there. The rise to becoming an influencer can be an easy path for some that know what they're passionate about, but for many, they will do anything and everything to get that clout, even if it means never being present with their loved ones. We're back, folks, for another edition of Reddit exposing the dark secrets of influencers, but first, if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Coming number 10, chronically unemployed. A big trap that influencers fall into is comparing themselves to other influencers. Even if they are flaunting a life of luxury themselves, behind the scenes, they can be quite frustrated by not seeing the growth that they want. This Reddit user pulls the curtain aside on what it's like being friends with an influencer who is upset with their position but acts like everything is fine. Pretty mundane. Honestly, my friend is conventionally attractive, and if you look at her social media, you'd think she were a supermodel millionaire who goes on tons of trips. She's actually chronically unemployed and has an income of less than 10k a year. Her boyfriend makes about 60k a year, which is enough to afford them a very nice 3.5 bedroom apartment, and she has tons of props she uses to make each room look different from day to day, so it seems like she's always in a new exotic place. They take 2 trips a year to fun tropical places in which she takes many photos and posts them as different places throughout the year. She's a very kind, considerate, sparkling personality, but whenever we hang out, I tend to be a shoulder to cry on as she laments about her lack of success in life. It's quite sad, honestly, but with her creativity and personality, I think she'll achieve her dreams eventually. Despite this being relatively sad, it's still important to note that this friend at least has hope that their influencer pal will achieve their dreams. Coming number 9, YouTuber assistant. Just because someone has a following on YouTube doesn't mean that they should be treated like royalty. In fact, royalty shouldn't be treated like royalty. That's my opinion though. This YouTuber assistant shared some pretty eye-opening stuff about what it was like to work with them behind the scenes, and I gotta say, none of it really surprised me. Posting their story to Reddit, they said, "I worked with YouTube influencers in my last job with an agency that paired sponsors with these celebrities. I basically did the grunt work like insuring hotels, plane tickets, getting coffee, running errands, and meeting with the talent to ensure they were where they needed to be. Over time, you make friends with others who are in those positions, especially when you're running errands for some entitled pseudo-celebrities. The nicest YouTubers were the animators, always calm and understanding. The worst were the family vloggers. I've met all the big ones, and I never met one that wasn't a completely different person off camera. The kids are always spoiled, and no one disciplines them, so they're running around breaking things or acting like idiots. And no one can yell at them lest their influencer parents find out. Close second is makeup YouTubers." I just love that they threw some shade at the makeup YouTubers in there too. Coming number 8, clickbait. Giving us another reason to hate family vloggers, this Reddit user completely exposed these small town influencers. Nothing says clueless like trying to capitalize on a tragedy for views. They go on to say, "I'm from a small town and a family vlogger moved here a few years ago. A while back there was a bad wildfire about 20 to 30 miles away from us. This fire was particularly bad, people were dying, losing homes, etc. But luckily it was pretty far from us and we weren't in any danger. You could smell the smoke, but that was it. However, this family posted a total clickbait, 'We had to evacuate, they told us to leave, wildfire vlog.' This really pissed off everyone who lived here since they were exploiting and profiting off a lie when people are actually losing everything. They were called out on all their platforms but would delete those comments." I really hate that too, when people just delete all of their negative comments. It's like, just don't look at them. Don't look at the comments. Coming number 7, fake it till you make it. We've all heard of the saying fake it until you make it, but this influencer friend really took things way too far without ever considering the repercussions. There's this idea that some people can be delusionally optimistic and achieve greatness because of how high they set the bar for themselves. Unfortunately, sometimes reality doesn't care about your delusions and will set you straight if you're not paying attention. Sadly, this is exactly what happened with our next story, and I honestly don't know if this Reddit user's friend will ever see the error of their ways. They go on to say, "I post travel photos and have about 200 followers, 200, not 2,000 or higher. My friend somehow thought that was influencer status and decided to copy me, except she quit her job so she could travel more and grow her own brand. In 2020, she lost her apartment, her car, and still hasn't found a job, but calls herself a professional influencer all the same. God, I really hope she didn't order business cards with the title professional influencer on them. That's a mistake. That's a mistake." Coming number 6, can't stop, won't stop. The inability for an influencer to take 3 seconds to just live in the present will 100% be why they burn out. No one can be on the internet 24/7, and constantly worrying about your image online can lead to a myriad of different insecurities. Whereas if you lived in the moment and didn't care what people thought about you, you could open up a whole new world of possibilities. However, that is just not the case with our next story. This Reddit user details her frustrations with her influencer friend and says, "So incredibly annoying. I actually ended up cutting her off because everything had to be a photo opportunity. We could never just go out to lunch or see a movie without it turning into a photo shoot. She never did anything with our friend group unless it was an aesthetic, and even then she was so focused on getting us to take photos that A, she didn't get to enjoy the activity, and B, it started bringing everyone else down because they couldn't participate either. And this sounds so petty, but she could never just show up in a t-shirt and leggings because photos, obviously. Like even sleepovers and movie nights had to be a big production, and sometimes you just need to stuff your face with popcorn and look like a slob. It's good for the soul." She also complained a lot about how hard her job was. Our friendship group at the time consisted of an EMT, 2 nurses, a teacher, and me, who was juggling university, tutoring, and working retail. I'm sure she had challenges, and all jobs are hard sometimes, but girl, you get paid to take selfies with free stuff and show up at events looking pretty. I mean, she's not wrong. The last thing that you should be doing is complaining if you make money from just being yourself. Don't complain. Don't do that. Coming number 5, vacation nightmare. Going on vacation with other people can be stressful enough. Now imagine going on vacation with influencers. Goodbye whatever plans you thought you had. Even best friends fight on vacation, and now add to that someone who is only there to fake a personality and share the entire trip to their legion of fans. This Reddit user described what I have titled a vacation nightmare, and they go on to say, "Everything is fake. The attitude, the mannerisms, everything. It sounds stupid until you realize they clear close to 7 figures a year. One time we vacationed with them, and when we were out to dinner, they said to us, 1 second, we need to go film a bit, and they went from our friends who are calm and nice to the, hey guys, we're here in the beautiful south of France. Annoying people everyone loves to hate. That's all we need to say on that one. Everyone loves to hate those people for sure. I have seen so many influencers where they're just so bummed out, and then they go to take a selfie and it's big smiles, camera goes away, and it's back to, Just Just be yourself. Coming number 4, a fake lease on life. Similar to the fake it till you make it post, this influencer really was exposed for the person that he actually was. The sad thing is that when you fake it, if you can't keep up the cost of faking it, you will fall victim to the monster that you've created all on your own. This Reddit user decided to expose an anonymous Instagram famous dude and said, "One of my best friends dated a really Insta famous guy. He invited us to his house for a Christmas party, and this is when I realized how fake social media was. The guy didn't have the car he paraded on social media, he leased it, took several photo shoots with it, and then gave it back. His house was in a different city than he claimed. I don't think it was for security reasons though. He said he lived in a very rich city, but his house was in a more modest place. He asked me to send him the videos I took at the party, posted them, and didn't even tag me because I didn't have enough followers. The worst part was that all the social media people at the party just kept yelling over each other trying to make the next big joke, but none of them were funny. Dude has millions of people fooled." Also, as a side note, you would be shocked by the amount of influencers that simply rent a fancy car, take photos with it, and then pretend that they bought it. Shocked. Coming number 3, behind the curtain. Now this whole list is essentially us peering behind the curtain that influencers present, but this next one really hits the nail on the head. And if you want to be an influencer, you should probably heed this Reddit user's warning. They go on to say, "Sad, you watch them slowly mentally degrade, always ends in full-blown narcissistic personality disorder or them having literally zero self-confidence. Their goal is to meet artificial metrics in terms of likes, views, follows. For a lot of them, that's their definition of success, goal in life, and if they're not hitting it, they have failed as people in their minds. So they go one of two routes. Number 1 is thinking that they're really not good enough and don't deserve to be liked, which leads to a total lack of confidence and then becoming a shell of a person that they were. And number 2 is narcissism, where they come to the conclusion that they're the best person ever and no one else knows what they're talking about, and every single flaw, fault, or mistakes they have made is someone else's fault." Couldn't agree more. Heed this warning. In at number 2, taste and waste. Growing up, we could never waste food. From a young age, I realized how hard my parents worked to keep the lights on and feed me that I would have felt terrible wasting anything that they gave me. That's why this next story really, I don't know, it makes my blood start to boil. The fact that someone can just take a picture of their food and then do not eat that food blows my mind. Blows my friggin' mind. But I digress. Allow me to tell this Reddit user's story so you can understand where I'm coming from. They go on to say, "I've driven 3 hours, hiked 1 hour, they took a couple of photos over about 5 minutes and then complained that they were ready to go home. Sometimes they will buy unhealthy but grammable food, take photos of them licking it, and then throwing it out. I also have a friend who went overseas will set alarms for like 3 a.m. to wake up and post their photos from the day at the peak time back home. I haven't seen them for a while." There's obviously a lot wrong with all of this, but it's the throwing out food that really angers me. So many people around the world are starving and you're just going to throw it out? I will never understand this logic, or lack thereof. Last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, self-worth. Sometimes these Reddit users are not just complaining about their influencer friends, sometimes we find influencers themselves coming forward with how this once dream job turned into a nightmare for them. This influencer goes on to tell their story and says, "Not a friend of an influencer, but I am an influencer, I guess. I have 150K on YouTube, and it was so much fun to start with, but now all I feel is constant pressure. If I make one mistake, I could lose everything I've spent years building. I'm never sure whether new friends like me for me, or because they want clout. Even though my content is focused on true crime and not me, having that many people watch you and comment on your appearance, the way you talk, etc. can really mess you up. Completely distorts your idea of self if you don't find ways to step back. Having non-social media friends really helps bring you back to earth, and trying to treat it as a typical 9 to 5. Moderation, I believe, though, is important in everything you do, and that includes things you're passionate about. Also, this influencer highlights just how important it is to have self-worth. Plus, remember that lions do not lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. Whether it's negative or positive comments, it should all be viewed the same level as some rando on the street yelling at you. That's how comments should be viewed. Ignored. But I love you guys are great. Either way, guys, that has been the top 10 influencer dark secrets exposed part 2, and before we get out of here, I'm gonna check out some of your comments from the video titled Top 10 Influencers Exposed for Living Fake Lives Part 5. Part 5. How did we get to part 5? Smiley Mama 04 says, "I have a feeling Johnny is working on a part 6 for us." You have a feeling? I probably will. Arthur Tapia says, "I heard Johnny bought some shoes from a drug dealer and I don't know what he laced them with, but he was tripping all day." Arthur, your jokes will forever make it in the comment section. Forever. As long as they're good. Peachy Panda 28 says, "Detective Johnny, woo, I love it." Hey, I got a new name. Todd Bolo says, "This is 2021, I am getting exposed, you are getting exposed, we're all getting exposed." Imagine if Oprah just started canceling people like that. You're canceled, and you're canceled, and you're canceled. Joni Petter says, "Could you talk a little faster?" I mean, I could. Is that what the people want? You guys want me to talk faster than I already do? Maybe. We'll try it on the next one. But guys, that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube. Or at least try.